Hi, my name is Lukky and I'm co-founder and CEO of ClimateX. And I'm here to tell you a little bit about what ClimateX is and what we do. And really, ultimately, our mission is to enable a more climate resilient future for everyone and everything on this planet. Many of you have probably experienced already firsthand the effects of climate change related events such as wildfires, flooding across Europe and many parts of the States and worldwide. It's a really global problem that everyone's trying to tackle, and there's a significant cost attached to it. So we tried to put on this slide some representation of what that looks like. So by the year 2050, the expected costs relating to climate change are anticipated to rise to $23 trillion. That's the equivalent of the US's entire GDP being wiped out overnight. And as a result, what we're finding is that governments and central banks worldwide are scrambling to introduce mandatory legislation and regulations that forces key contributors to the global economy to finally start assessing not only how their businesses and operations affect climate change, but how climate change might affect them. So what does it mean in terms of the potential damage, for example, to assets? What happens if many parts of your portfolio become uninsurable because of significant flooding events, for example? And this is a global phenomenon that's stretching across not just the UK, where the front runners are, but many parts of Europe. We're seeing that the ECB is mobilizing in the financial sector world, but also places like the US, the Fed has mobilized a lot of consultations. This is a truly global challenge. And the consistent problem that we're seeing in challenge is the lack of access to data that helps with decision making. And that's where ClimateX comes in with our offering. We've developed a platform called Spectra, and what we do is we provide location-specific risk ratings and loss estimates. So imagine that you're a bank. What you would do is you'd provide us an entire extract of your portfolio. It could be a mortgage portfolio or some other assets that you have under your control. And we will then analyze that quickly through our online platform or through our APIs and deliver for you a portfolio level risk rating. And then you can dive down into specific assets to understand what the asset level risks are, what's driving the risks themselves. Is it flooding? Is it subsidence? Is it something else? And ultimately that allows you to then make decisions around resiliency. So how do you start to price for these risks that might take place in the future today? How do you rebalance your portfolios, for example? And indeed, it could be the case that you say you want to divest from an entire area and start to diversify your risks more broadly. And the risks that we cover are really there to provide you a 360 view across all of the climate hazards that you might have of interest. So we cover flooding and different types of flooding. So surface flooding, river flooding and coastal flooding. We're the only provider in the world that also includes geophysical hazards as part of our offering. So subsidence, landslides are part of the bundle that we deliver, but also extreme heat and cold. And we'll be deploying wildfire, drought and tropical storms later this year. And we do so at an incredibly accurate rate. So actually our models are achieving up to 95% rates of accuracy depending on the risk type. So when we tell you that something is likely to happen in the future, we are confident in those outcomes. And we don't just stop there, we also quantify the financial impacts that are associated with these risks. So we take into account the hazards themselves, but also things like the building condition in order to understand the vulnerability. So if there was a flooding event, how much value of this asset might be lost as a consequence of that. And so we do that in the order of a building replacement cost. So you can really understand what's driving the financial risks to your portfolio. And as I mentioned, everything's accessible through our online portals and APIs. We're cloud-based, AWS, so it's super simple and super secure for you to access. We've got an online platform that's ready to demo and it's easy to use. We generate beautiful visuals that can be used, for example, for your TCFD reports. We dynamically generate beautiful reports and insights that you can then present to executive committees and so on. So we're super excited about what we've developed. We're really proud to have joined the Accenture's FinTech Innovation Lab this year. We've taken a huge amount of value in speaking directly to a wide range of customers and stakeholders to understand how they might use and implement our data into their businesses day to day to help their first journey, steps towards that journey of climate resiliency. So we're really pleased with the findings that we've had. And actually some of the mentor sessions have been really useful for us as well. We've really managed to hone our proposition better, draw out the value add and extract that directly to the sales propositions. So we're really proud of being part of this year's cohort, and thank you for having us.